In a relatively short period of time, the majority of the American population has shifted from small towns and farms to millions of people in huge metropolitan areas. Millions of automobiles caused air pollution, and auto manufacturers were forced to redesign engines to protect the atmosphere. Additionally, engines were downsized and fine-tuned to improve efficiency and fuel economy without sacrificing the American motorist's demand for performance. Unfortunately, these changes created a virtual garbage dump in the auto lubricating system, placing far greater demands on engine oil than ever before. Most engine oils available in the marketplace today are barely adequate to protect today's high-performance engines. In many cases, the engine oil is extended beyond its useful life. The engine accumulates sludge and deposits and suffers premature wear. Deposits can cause serious problems. Protecting your engine requires the most advanced oil technology known today because oil is the lifeblood of the engine. The head of the Fuels and Lubricants Department at General Motors made this statement to a national audience.
Too many oils in the marketplace don't meet the quality and/or viscosity implied by the label, and commercial oils don't take advantage of available technology. The U.S. oil industry must respond to the need for improved quality in their products. A goal for the oil and additive industries should be to develop engine oil additives that will result in deposit-free engines. Zero deposits will be necessary if future vehicles are to achieve zero emissions.
Even with the advanced technology available today, oil companies are caught up in a very competitive market. To keep the price of oil competitive, they have to reduce production costs by using barely adequate additive packages.
Most engine oils today on the market are intentionally formulated to meet the minimum industry standards for operation. The SL API Sequence 3F is a test that measures the overall sludging performance of the engine oil. This test is run at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 80 hours with a constant engine RPM range of 3,000. And at the end of this test, the parts are judged, the engine is disassembled, and they look for the ability of the oil to protect the engine parts and also for the accumulation of sludge, which will let you know how severely stressed the oil was and whether it was able to sustain the course of the test.
A 200% increase in viscosity is considered acceptable and average among major oil companies. If viscosity exceeds 275%, the oil fails the performance requirements. Test results show that the typical 5W30 oil from a major oil company thickened 258%. It just barely passed the test. Very little viscosity increase occurred in the first 32 hours. Then the viscosity increased rapidly, showing that most of the additives in the oil were depleted. This name-brand high-quality 5W30 engine oil's capacity to resist oxidation was pushed to its full limit by the end of the 80-hour test. Most oil companies recommend changing the oil every 3,000 miles, but miles does not always correspond with the number of hours the engine has been working since the last oil change. If you drive a vehicle for 80 hours, the length of the API Sequence 3F test, at 40 miles per hour, you would go 3,200 miles. Time for an oil change. But who drives constantly at 40 miles per hour? If you drive 25 miles per hour, it would take 120 hours to drive 3,000 miles, which is 40 hours longer than the oil lasted in the 3F test. At 15 miles per hour, you would drive 200 hours before reaching the 3,000-mile oil change requirement. That's 120 hours longer than the oil lasted in the 3F test. You can see that stop-and-go driving in the city puts much more time on the engine and a great deal more stress on the oil than driving 40 miles per hour. And how many engine hours are never recorded on the odometer? How much time is spent idling or sitting at a stoplight? The engine is running, but the odometer isn't. On a hot summer day when the engine is idling, the oil temperature rises. Additive depletion and oxidation occur very rapidly. These driving conditions shorten the recommended 3,000-mile service life of oil. Yet, owner's manuals warn that if a vehicle is driven in stop-and-go traffic or in the hot summer season, and who doesn't, the oil should be changed every 3,000 miles.
Oil, after being exposed to the high heat of engine operation, begins to oxidize, and when it does, it loses its effectiveness as a lubricant. The engine starts to accumulate sludge, varnish, and deposits, and these form premature wear, and eventually we have engine failure.
The key to a healthier engine is in controlling deposits. We can show you how to reduce deposits in any oil and increase the life of the engine. The product is BG Advanced Formula MOA. At the conclusion of the double-length API Sequence 3F test, the viscosity of a lighter weight 5W20 reference oil increased 176%, landing within the 200% Ford test limit. At the conclusion of the triple-length API Sequence 3F test, the viscosity of the reference oil fortified with BG Advanced Formula MOA was still well within the viscosity grade. After 240 hours, 3 times the original test length, viscosity had increased only 197%, well under the 250% of the untreated typical 5W30 oil in the standard length 80 hours and within the Ford 200% limit. This photograph was taken after a 64-hour single-length API Sequence 3E test on an engine oil that failed the test. The timing gear cover, valve cover, and rocker cover baffles are caked with varnish, sludge, and deposits. This photo was taken after the 240-hour API Sequence 3F test on the high-quality reference oil treated with BG Advanced Formula MOA.
A clean engine is the key to overall engine efficiency. That's all there is to it. It gives you better power and performance. It gives you a lot better fuel economy. It gives you extended engine life. And probably most important in this area is that it will give you clean readings in emission standards.
Another industry test to compare the service life of engine oils is the TFOUT, Thin Film Oxidation Uptake Test, conducted according to ASTM D4742 procedures. A measured amount of oil is placed in a rotary test bomb along with a small amount of distilled water, fuel, and metal catalysts. The bomb is sealed, pressurized with oxygen, and placed in an oil bath at 320 degrees Fahrenheit. The bomb is then rotated at 100 RPM. When the oil begins to absorb oxygen due to oil oxidation, the pressure drops sharply, concluding the test. The breaking point allows us to compare the expected service life of engine oils. All oils tested were major brands of SJ commercial oils. The longest lasting oil, coated oil G, resisted oxidation for 250 minutes. Oil A is one of the most popular oils on the market today, yet it oxidized and became ineffective after 117 minutes. BG Advanced Formula MOA was added to a fresh supply of oil G and charted 578 minutes, resisting oxidation almost 5 times longer than oil A and over twice as long as the best quality oil tested. Let's look at another test conducted at the BG Test Laboratories. A leading brand of engine oil was installed in a BG test car, and the vehicle was driven 3,000 miles in city and highway traffic. The chemical and physical properties of the used oil were then analyzed and documented in the BG laboratory. This test was repeated using the same brand of engine oil treated with BG Advanced Formula MOA, and the car was driven twice the distance, 6,000 miles, on the same route as the previous test drive. The total amount of detergency remaining in the untreated reference oil after 3,000 miles was less than the oil treated with BG Advanced Formula MOA after 6,000 miles. BG Advanced Formula MOA has proven itself in the API Sequence 3F test, the TFOUT bench test, and the double-length road test. These numbers are proof positive that BG Advanced Formula MOA extends the service life of engine oil to protect engines under heavy loads, in extreme temperatures, winter or summer, when driving conditions are most severe, even when the oil is not always changed within suggested intervals. BG's lubrication and fuel deposit control service includes BG Advanced Formula MOA and BG MI 3000 Plus. Total deposit control is a common benefit of each professional MAP service. Deposit buildup steals performance power in the fuel system. BGMI 3000 Plus added to the fuel at each oil change interval will keep an engine free of harmful fuel deposits. BG Products Incorporated is confident that the lubrication and fuel deposit control service included with every oil change will mean many thousands of trouble-free miles for an engine. So confident, in fact, that BG will warranty the engine against any irreparable damage to parts for 7 years or 150,000 miles. For additional peace of mind, the lubrication and fuel deposit control service includes BG on the road, offering roadside assistance until the next regular oil change. It's just one more incentive to stay on track with MAP in this service facility. BG Products Incorporated provides total deposit control for the life of your engine.